Hello and welcome to Money Talks again, and a very warm welcome to Ed Shing from BCS Asset Management and the Idle Investor Fund. Good to see you again, Ed. Now, you're writing about some companies that I find intensely annoying, insurance companies, and in particular Direct Line, and who own Churchill, I understand. Don't they have the most annoying advertising on earth?
You could argue that, George. I must admit, the tootling red telephone, you diddly-did-did-doo, and the nodding dog.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Oh, yes.
But you know what? Catchphrases do work, George. And even if they are intensely annoying, you do associate straight away that red telephone with Direct Line and the nodding dog with Churchill. So, you know, whatever you say, it works as branding.
I recognise those brands, but there's a rather annoying sort of mafiosa chief at the moment, isn't there, for Direct Line? I'm not sure I recognise that brand so well.
But that's a new rebranding relaunch campaign. He's actually presenting the new customer-facing part of the business, saying that we give you great customer service. And
great service.
And that's something, as I'm sure you're about to say, is something that's been lacking in the insurance world up to now.
Yes, because they're very interested in cutting costs, aren't they? And of course that might be good for the investor, but it's not so good for the consumer. So what's the relationship there?
Well, George, they've had to cut costs because if you look at the home or the motor insurance market over the last 3 years since 2011, premia have been going down, i.e. they've been getting cheaper. So for you and me as homeowners or car owners, great. Not so great for the insurance companies because it means their level of profitability goes down. And the only way they can maintain that is, of course, by cutting costs. And Direct Line is no stranger to that. They themselves, as the others, have a cost-cutting program which has been rather successful. Good news for the investor.
And what other good news is there for the investor? I mean, are these good, sound companies that we be getting good income from?
Yes, well, that's it. I mean, the point is Direct Line is growing its profits. This year as well, the AA have noted that car insurance premiums should go up by up to 10%. So again, for the consumer, maybe not so good, but for the insurance company, much better. And they have a 14% share of the UK motor insurance market. So it should be very good for Direct Line's bottom line to see those premia inching back up again. On top of that, they had international operations, which they've sold for £430 million. And they're going to give a lot of that back as dividend, which results in a 7% dividend yield, which is one of the highest of any FTSE 100.
Direct Line famously isn't involved in the price comparison sites on the internet. Doesn't that put them at a disadvantage?
To some extent it does, but that's exactly why they have to push the branding more in direct-to-TV ads. And I think they have to push the customer service angle, because really what it's about is saying price is not everything. Yes, we are on the cheap end, but we're not the cheapest. But what we do is that we are cheap and we provide you with the best customer service experience. Because I think that nowadays is becoming crucially important.
Quite a potent package then, but aren't you advising our investors out there perhaps to sort of buy into these shares at their top, when they're quite expensive? Isn't there a danger that they're about to come down?
I would say they're not expensive when you look at valuation levels. The dividend yield, 7% being one of those. You know, you could look at the PE, which is around 10 or 11 times. Again, it's actually on the cheap side. Now, don't forget, George, with share prices, when they go to a peak, people say exactly what you see. They're going to come down. Actually, academic theory tells us they do rather the opposite. What goes up tends to keep going up. And I think that could be the case with Direct Line today.
Thank you very much, Ed. The case for Direct Line, not always such good news for customers of insurance companies, but a sound bet for the investor, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.